When Bob, the zookeeper, saw that his lion, Zico, was sticking out his tongue at a visitor, he knew something was wrong. At first, he thought it was the visitor's fault and made his way over to her to make her stop whatever she was doing. However, when he stood next to the visitor and Zico stuck his tongue out again, he knew it wasn't because of the park guest. Bob knew he had to act quickly and ordered everyone to evacuate the zoo. Bob had been the head of the zookeepers regarding the feline department for nearly a year now. He had worked himself up the ladder and was now exactly where he wanted to be. He always thought animals like panthers, tigers, and lions were the most majestic type of animals. However, his love for them could never have prepared him for this. He was monitoring the tigers as one of them hadn't been eating well for the past day. As head of the feline department, Bob, aside from the actual vets, knew the most about the animals and their behaviors. He was trying to decipher if she disliked the type of meat they were giving them or if it was something else. Then, he got a phone call about much stranger behavior. Bob gave instructions to his fellow zookeepers to maybe try a different diet. Bob knew he couldn't be hearing this right and made his way over to the lion enclosure. He needed to see this with his own eyes if this was actually happening. He made his way up the stairs to the observatory for himself and his colleagues and saw the most unusual sight. "Hey Bob, good to see you and that you could get here this fast. Look at Zico." Another zookeeper, Olivier, said as the man pointed his finger to one of the lions. Bob walked forward, closer to the glass, and he could see what Olivier was talking about. Bob's eyebrow raised at the sight. Why was Zico licking the glass? He had never seen the lion do such a thing, and he had known the lion ever since it was a cub. "Is it just that spot?" or Bob asked Olivier, who was quick to shake his head. "No, at first we thought the choice of where to lick was sporadic, but then we noticed a visitor in the crowd. It seemed to have to do something with her." Olivier pointed at a woman who was standing in front of the lion on the other side of the glass. Bob turned to Olivier. "You mean to say that Zico licks wherever she is standing?" Olivier nodded, which puzzled Bob even more. "Wait here, I'm going to check what she is doing. She might just be holding something that causes him to do it." Bob didn't wait for a response. He quickly made his way down the stairs of the zookeeper observation and wove through the crowd. People loved that Zico was doing this as they gathered around the woman to see the lion lick the glass. Bob didn't have the slightest clue why they were so mesmerized by it, but it seemed like he would find out sooner rather than later. As he finally got through the crowd, he put his full attention on the woman. However, she didn't seem to do anything out of the ordinary. This confused Bob. He was sure that that should have been the reason for Zico's strange behavior. His brow furrowed, and the woman, who now saw Bob looking at her, turned her attention from Zico to him. Madam, Bob started thinking about what to ask her exactly. "I was called here by my colleagues. Do you have any idea why our lion is licking the glass whenever you are near? Are you showing it anything? Maybe have some food on you?" It was now the woman's turn to furrow her brows. She was quick to shake her head. Then she said something he hadn't expected. "No, I was just standing here when the lion walked up towards the glass and started licking it. When I went to the other side of the enclosure, it just decided to follow me." I have no clue as to why she said to Bob's disappointment. He had hoped that she would maybe have an explanation for this all. But maybe the woman wasn't letting on everything she knew. Bob instead decided to turn his focus on Zico. The lion had just stopped licking the window, and his gaze was fixated on the woman beside Bob. Why was a mystery to Bob and one that greatly annoyed him. He knew the animal well, and this behavior was very strange. Then, the animal suddenly stuck out its tongue. Instead of licking the glass, Zico sat down and let its tongue protrude from its large maw. It was then that Bob saw it. One part of the mystery was suddenly solved, but that wasn't necessarily a good thing. No, this was bad. Very, very bad. Bob could feel the blood drain from his face as he had to suppress a gasp. This couldn't be happening. The woman next to him saw the change in his demeanor as he looked at the lion and grew worried herself. What's wrong?" she asked, a slight panic in her voice. Her reaction seemed to activate the whole crowd of people around them. People didn't recognize whatever Bob was seeing. That was a good thing. They might have all panicked if they did. "There is nothing wrong," Bob said, plastering a fake smile on his face. "I was just shocked at Zico's behavior." "We will have to take him under closer examination," he said kindly to the crowd. He then raised his voice, "Please, I need you all to evacuate the area. Please leave the proximity of the enclosure. Zico sometimes likes to show off with guests around, and if we want to examine him, he needs to be calm." He needed these people gone and fast. Time was of the essence, and he couldn't tell these people what was wrong. With this revelation, they might even need to evacuate the entire zoo. People dispersed at his words and all started to leave. All of them did, except for the woman at whom Zico had shown his tongue to begin with. Bob couldn't help but wonder what made the woman so special. With the crowd dispersing, Bob's attention returned to Zico. He called his team for an urgent meeting. "We need to examine Zico thoroughly," he stated. "Let's start with dental and neurological assessments. There might be underlying issues that we're missing." The team nodded in agreement, quickly gathering the necessary equipment. They moved with a sense of purpose, understanding the gravity of the situation. Bob watched them, his mind filled with concern. He hoped the examination would shed light on Zico's peculiar behavior. The examination was extensive. Zico's teeth, gums, and neurological responses were scrutinized. Bob and his team worked meticulously, leaving no stone unturned. Hours passed, but Zico's health seemed perfectly normal. "This doesn't make sense," muttered Bob, perplexed. The team looked on, equally baffled. Zico's behavior suggested a problem, yet the examination revealed nothing. Maybe they should check the other animals too. Seeking further insights, Bob called in veterinary specialists. These experts brought advanced diagnostic tools and a fresh perspective. They examined Zico, conducting a series of tests and observations. The specialists worked tirelessly, analyzing every detail. However, their findings mirrored those of Bob's team. "We can't find anything abnormal," they reported. Bob's frustration grew. The specialists' inability to pinpoint a health issue in Zico left them all back at square one. Determined to find answers, Bob decided to broaden the scope of their investigation. "Let's check for internal ailments that might not be immediately obvious," he proposed. The team extended their examination to include comprehensive blood tests and scans, looking for hidden issues. Each test was conducted with precision, but as each result came back, Bob's hope of finding a clear explanation dwindled. The investigation was thorough, yet it brought them no closer to understanding Zico's condition. The team convened after days of exhaustive analysis. Bob looked over the reports, all normal. "It's as if we're missing a piece of the puzzle," he said, his voice tinged with exasperation. The team shared his sentiment. Despite their best efforts, Zico's behavior remained an enigma. Bob gazed at Zico, still puzzled. The lack of any concrete findings only served to deepen the mystery surrounding Zico's unexplained actions. After the inconclusive health assessments, Bob directed his team's attention to Zico's living conditions. They meticulously inspected the enclosure for any changes, new additions, altered layouts, even shifts in lighting and temperature. The team methodically checked every element that constituted Zico's habitat, searching for clues that might explain his behavior. However, everything was as it had always been: no alterations, no disturbances. The habitat, meticulously maintained, provided no answers to the growing mystery. Next, Bob considered environmental stress factors, particularly noise. The zoo was bustling, and unexpected noise could easily distress the animals. The team set about measuring sound levels throughout the zoo, focusing on the areas surrounding the feline enclosures. They analyzed the data for any anomalies or spikes that might indicate distressing noise levels. Yet the results were consistent and within normal ranges. The investigation into potential noise-induced stress turned up nothing unusual. leaving Bob and his team still searching for answers. Bob then turned to examine Zico's diet. Dietary issues, often subtle, could cause significant behavioral changes. He carefully reviewed feeding logs, looking for recent changes in diet, food sources, or feeding routines. The team also analyzed Zico's food for potential allergens or contaminants. Despite this thorough investigation, they found Zico's diet had remained consistent and nutritionally balanced. There were no changes or harmful substances in his food. Once again, the search for an explanation hit a dead end. Refusing to relent, Bob focused on studying Zico's daily behavior. The team observed Zico's interactions with other animals and his overall routine, looking for any deviations from his normal patterns. They scrutinized hours of surveillance footage, comparing his current behavior with past records. But Zico's routine was unchanged. His interactions, sleeping patterns, and overall demeanor showed no notable differences from his usual behavior. This behavioral analysis, much like the physical examinations, offered no insight into the cause of his actions. Exhausted and perplexed, the team reconvened. Bob looked over his notes, a mix of meticulous records and unanswered questions. We've covered everything: his health, his environment, his diet, his behavior. And yet, we're no closer to understanding why Zico is acting this way, he confessed. The team shared in his frustration. Despite their comprehensive review, no environmental or health factors were found that could explain Zico's peculiar behavior. The mystery remained unsolved, deepening their concern. In the midst of their confusion, Bob noticed an intriguing pattern in Zico's behavior. It wasn't just the mysterious woman who triggered Zico's peculiar actions. Bob observed that Zico exhibited similar behavior around certain other individuals as well. This discovery was unexpected and complicated the situation further. It suggested a more complex cause behind Zico's behavior beyond anything purely medical or environmental. Bob knew this observation needed deeper exploration. Taking this new lead seriously, Bob and his team began documenting the presence of specific visitors in correlation with Zico's behavior. They monitored the lion's reactions, noting the times and circumstances under which his behavior changed. This meticulous documentation process involved reviewing surveillance footage and coordinating with the zoo's entrance records. The team was determined to find any pattern or connection between Zico's behavior and the visitors who seemed to trigger it. As the data accumulated, Bob grappled with a crucial question: were these occurrences mere coincidences, or was there a real correlation? He pored over the records, looking for any common traits among the visitors who elicited a response from Zico. Was it their appearance, their behavior, or something else entirely? Bob knew discerning between coincidence and correlation was key to unraveling the mystery, yet the answer remained elusive. The observation of Zico's selective behavior towards certain visitors only expanded the puzzle. Each new piece of information seemed to lead to more questions than answers. Bob realized that they were dealing with a situation far more complex than initially thought. This wasn't just a matter of a single unusual behavior; it hinted at a deeper, possibly psychological or social cause that was influencing Zico's actions. With each passing day, Bob understood that the mystery surrounding Zico was broader and more intricate than a straightforward health or environmental issue. The lion's selective behavior towards certain individuals suggested an underlying complexity that defied easy explanations. Bob knew they had to approach the situation from a different angle, considering factors they hadn't thought of before. The mystery deepened, challenging Bob and his team to think beyond the conventional boundaries of animal behavior and zoo management. Bob, determined to delve deeper into the mystery of Zico's behavior, initiated secret monitoring of the woman who had first caught the lion's attention. He instructed his team to observe her discreetly, ensuring she remained unaware of their scrutiny. The objective was clear: to understand any possible connection between her presence and Zico's actions. This covert observation marked a cautious and curious new direction in their investigation. The team, divided into shifts, discreetly followed the woman around the zoo, maintaining a careful distance and blending in with other visitors. They meticulously noted her interactions, the places she frequented, and the time she spent at different enclosures. Their focus was not just on her proximity to Zico but her overall behavior within the zoo. It was a meticulous effort to gather as much information as possible without raising suspicion. Over the days, the team compiled a substantial amount of data from their surveillance. Each evening, they gathered to review and discuss their observations, looking for recurring patterns or specific behaviors that could explain Zico's interest in the woman. The data was cross-referenced with Zico's behavior logs, searching for any correlation. Despite their thorough efforts, the team's surveillance yielded little insight into the link between the woman and Zico's actions, leaving Bob both frustrated and intrigued. In a surprising turn, Bob learned from longtime staff that the mysterious woman was a former volunteer who had shared a special bond with Zico when he was a cub. This revelation shed new light on the situation, suggesting that their past relationship might be crucial to understanding Zico's behavior. Curious about the depth of their connection, Bob delved into her history with Zico and discovered that their bond, formed during Zico's impressionable cub years, had been characterized by mutual affection and trust. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Bob approached the woman again, explaining how he believed their past connection might be influencing Zico's current behavior. The woman, surprised but not uncomfortable, began to share her memories of Zico. She recounted how she had spent hours playing and caring for him, forming a deep bond. Her stories highlighted the profound and lasting impact their relationship had on Zico, providing valuable insights into his emotional and psychological makeup. As Bob deepened his understanding of Zico's behavior, an unexpected development occurred. Unusual behavior began surfacing in other animals across the zoo. Various species exhibited changes in their behavior patterns, raising concerns about a possible environmental or contagious factor at play. Realizing the situation was more widespread than initially thought, Bob and his team initiated a comprehensive investigation. This led to the discovery of a rare, airborne pathogen affecting the zoo's animals, shifting their focus from individual behavioral issues to a broader environmental health concern. Through targeted care and rigorous sanitation efforts, the zoo eventually overcame the crisis, emerging stronger and more prepared for future challenges.